want to have the most successful relationship, Jared, listen up. Is it too soon?
That's fine.
Okay.
In 17 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nice, Katie.
Yeah, 17 months.
Long enough for us.
Very
I've
nice,
been holding
Katie.
it in. You know what I mean? Like,
No,
that's
it's
like,
fine.
Yeah, I was holding
No,
it in.
go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to
No.
ask if you wanted to lead
Who's
this.
joining us? I just went through a bitter divorce for the second time. But that's fine, Katie. As long as you guys can laugh.
It's been 17 months.
It-
I'm going to get emails now.
No, you're not.
because,
No,
yes,
don't
I
email
am.
Katie. It's
I
fine.
Send
am.
them to Jason.
You unfeeling bitch. That's
I
what they're
think
going
that's
to say.
under cruel, Katie. I think it's under cruel. Are we going to learn about honest and cruel? I think
Yes,
it's under
we
cruel.
are.
Go
We
ahead.
are. There is a
Don't
difference
email
between.
Katie.
Yeah, don't. There is a difference between honest and cruel. And if you want to have a successful relationship, you need to learn the difference. I hate it when people say, "Well, I'm just being honest."
Does anyone on our show do that?
Oh, there we go. Let's
yeah.
direct to me after your failed relationships.
Yeah.
Send your emails to Jason.
Just being honest.
Just being honest.
Yeah. Just being
Right,
honest.
just being honest. Yes, there are people who do that, Jason.
Yeah.
And it's not. You're being insensitive and you're being mean, and then you just hide it under the statement, I'm being honest. No, you're not. You're not, because there are very tactful, kind, gentle ways to say things that do not hurt people's
Well,
feelings.
I'm trying to be gentle and kind when I say it.
No, you're
and
not.
I'm trying to
I
be
don't-
transparent.
Then I don't think you
I
know.
don't think you're being honest.
Well, give me an example.
Then I don't think you know what those words
I
mean.
think sometimes that when I do say something and then all of a sudden I hear it back repeated, it was changed from when I exactly said it, and a couple words make a big difference. So I think in the mind it's perceived as not being. I mean, I could have been more blunt about it.
There's also such a thing as reading between the lines. And so maybe the words, the actual words that you're saying are not
Yeah.
what
Yes.
people
continue.
read between the lines.
Yes,
And there's
we continue.
a way for you to say things where you'll say, "You're not that fat." Be like, "No, I said you're not that fat."
Right.
Like,
And
no,
then you have
and it's like skinny.
And, you have like, and then you have like a smirk on your face when you say it. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
And
that's
so
true.
the words that you said are, "Yeah, you're not that fat." Yes, that's not technically as hurtful.
But that's my
But
effort
I know what
of-
you're saying.
that's my effort of being what you just said, more of a better way of wording it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not really, I don't really say
No,
that.
but I'm just,
yeah.
it was an example that I
Yeah.
gave. I'm sure at some point you've probably
No,
said
he's
it.
for some reason Jason's terrified of Katie. He'll say horrible things to me, horrible things to Squid.
I
says
know what
horrible
you're talking
things to
about.
me
Yeah. She gets
all
mad
the
at everything I
time.
say.
Well, she might get mad at it, but I mean, definitely go the easiest on Katie.
No way. He always
Oh.
says, he'll say things like, "Yeah, I mean, even you, Katie," like all the time.
Right.
Meaning, and that's like a punch to the gut.
I mean, he does get you. He gets
He
everybody.
does.
No one goes.
Let's go back to the failed relationship with Jared.
Please.
Yes.
All right. Well, learning the difference between being honest and cruel, that's a big one if you want to be successful in your relationship. Another thing is that when you're arguing, no name calling or shaming. This is big because
Yeah, now, that would be cruel, and I'm
Yeah.
guilty of that at times. But I would say, I feel like I'm try to be more realist, and that can come across not kind, and to some people, cruel. And to some people, that is defined as cruel, and some people it's not. Now, the name calling and the extraneous stuff, that would be cruel.
See, what you just said there would infuriate me if I were married to you, and this is why. Because you said, "I'm just trying to be a realist," as if my part of the argument is fantasy.
No, I just believe that a lot of people out there right now base everything off their feelings instead of facts in the world today.
Again,
I mean, a lot of people do that.
well, because everybody has feelings.
Correct.
But then,
Everybody.
Jason, when you say something, when you go to the name calling, it's because you're feeling enraged.
Yeah, the name calling is that.
And I mean, I do it
I
too.
think that's
yeah.
like kind of two different things. But I do think, I mean, and I'm not just talking about just a relationship, but it's like more than ever, it's like, no, this is what it really is. But we have to have this facade based on feelings that's not really the truth. And I think that can sometimes get you in more trouble in the long run.
Yeah, outside of relationships where we have to pretend that things.
But, well, even
are not real.
relationships too. I mean, we have to really know what the root cause is sometimes, or what's happening, and sometimes it's not always pleasant.
Is that what you tell yourself?
Yes, I do. I absolutely do.
Okay. Moving on. Another way to have a very successful relationship is that you have the goal together that you are going to resolve whatever the issue is,
I think that's a good one.
and that you're going to move forward. And yes, I know that lots of women get the reputation that we hold grudges and stuff. But I think that if you have going into the relationship saying, we know we're going to fight. We know we're not always going to see eye to eye, but we know that this foundation is going to survive it and we're going to move forward.
We're not going to give up on each other.
Exactly.
I definitely have heard people say that they've gone into marriages that thinking, well, if it doesn't work out, that's okay.
Yeah.
And that's very dangerous because you've already in your mind put an end date on it.
That's kind of how I feel a little bit about prenups.
A little bit.
You know, I feel like it's like, well, when it dissolves,
I've
this is
protected
what we
myself.
get. Yeah, that's, I don't know, maybe that's the deep root of why I don't like it, but I understand why people do it.
Yeah.
But it feels to me that it's like, well,
You're looking at it as temporary.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, it's a terrible way to look at it. But you know, I get some people will take their feelings out of it and look at the statistics, and the statistics.
If people went by
great.
statistics, I think marriage is already down. Like fewer and fewer people are getting married.
Are getting married, yeah.
Statistically, but no one. If you had 1 in 2 chance of getting killed walking across the street, you would never cross the street. But that's basically what a marriage is. You have a 1 in 2 chance of it ending in total and complete disaster.
Total and complete
You
disaster.
let it out, buddy.
And sometimes,
Let it out.
and sometimes Jared is 2 for 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Let it out.
But-
This is where you're in the nest.
Y'all talk now.
Yeah, but Jared,
I know good divorce attorneys when y'all need one.
Jared, here's the thing with that.
But it's true,
in
though.
your case, you're not in that statistic because of your religious background. The statistics are a lot less.
It is a lot less.
Yes. So you have defied the statistic of just you.
I am always outside the norm.
There it is.
Yeah.
There it
So-
is. And I
Yeah.
think it's also very important, Jason, you were just saying that it's, people take the feeling out of marriage and look at, what you guys get or how you protect yourself. Marriage, for the most part, is based on love, which is a feeling.
Correct.
So if you take the feeling out of it, it's
Correct. But
hard to do.
exactly what you just said is right. But the facts are the facts.
What are the facts?
The facts are that 50% of the people end up in divorce.
Oh.
In the second marriage is like 65, and third
Yeah.
marriages you just forget about it.
Then you should forget about it.
I've already forgot about it.
Oh,
It is forgotten.
right.
And then again, and through this journey of my journey, I'm on
My journey. Yes.
Oh yeah, your
I've-
healing stage.
Yes.
Yeah,
Don't you mock
that's
that.
messed up.
What?
That's
What?
You
Hey,
talk about cruel.
I'm just
That's
defining
cruel.
the stage.
If I was the low man on the totem pole, squid, I would be
That-
very quiet right
That
now.
was unacceptable. What
That
you just
was
did to me.
what?
As one of the 3 members of the
Have
Toxic
I not
Kings,
supported you?
You have.
Throughout the healing process?
You
Yes.
have. You
Yeah,
have.
but then you just mocked it.
You mock the
What?
healing. That's a
Wait,
sensitive.
That's
Yeah.
exactly what he should be doing
Well,
right
it's a
now.
funny term, and it's funny to say.
Well,
so.
it's what's true, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's funny to have your soul destroyed and try to heal it. Yeah. I find it hilarious. I laugh every night. It looks like I'm crying, but it's actually laughing.
Tears of joy, tears of laughter.
So hard.
It-
It's
it
tears.
seems like crying.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then not want to get out of bed because I'm so sore from laughing. It's not depression. No.
Oh my god.
But this is of course I've been separated. Well, I'm divorced now, but
Yeah.
it's been almost 18 months. And so I've talked to different people, and there's people who come, they kind of figured it out, like, oh, I'm going through the same thing. And they'll tell me all these horrible things about their spouse, and they don't live with them anymore, him or her, live with them anymore. And then like a month later, they're back together, posting on Facebook. Successful relationship.
Yeah.
And unless you knew, you think they're totally fine. And they hate the person only with them for the money.
Oh, for the money.
I would say like
Oh.
90% of those cases, and there's been like 10 different people, 10 different couples. They're with him or her because they make more money than them, or they had to go back into the workforce and they said, forget it.
They didn't
I'll
wanna
just
do
go
it.
ahead and be miserable. And tell me horrible things, and whether it's true or not, because people can be whatever.
Well, yeah, people, but
very specific, terrible things that no one should put up with, and then they go right back and then posting on Facebook, Father's Day, the
Yeah.
best dad in the world. I'm like, that's not what you told me.
That's not what
you
you
can't
said.
believe any social media of anything.
No,
on
but
that
I know.
stuff.
But when I know for a fact that they
Yeah.
hate this person, and then they're still with them, it's like that's very discouraging.
I think that there's also something very wrong, like how you just said, if it's true. Well, even if it's not true, they were able to say those things about their spouse.
Yeah,
and
true.
why would you do that?
That's true.
You
Yeah.
know, so it's terrible. And if you're listening and you've done this, you know who you are.
Right. No, and I'm not going to.
Ben.
And I know it's.
Just kidding.
I know. I was like, what? Yeah, happy Mother's Day to Katie a couple months. No. But I'm not judging them because relationships are tough and there's the draw. I think all these people, for the most part, had kids, and so they have kids. They're trying to. And so I applaud people for trying to make it work, but definitely told me this person's a POS,
Mm-hmm.
and then you in this, maybe the house you were trying to get or the apartment was too much, and so you just go back to this person that you told me or told other people is a horrible person.
And then go online and gloat about how great they are.
Yes.
That's the part that gets me.
Yeah.
People do what they got to do, but
Yeah, I know.
the fakeness
People trying to
of-
survive
yeah.
is fake. Yeah. I know it's hard. I know it's extremely
Yeah.
hard.
Well, these are some ways that if you want to have a more successful relationship than most, these are things that are good to do in your relationship. You can, you decide, I'm not going to leave this conversation or this argument, but it is okay to ask for like a 20-minute break.
And then like go drive somewhere and then hope they forget about it. Right?
Could.
Well, I know the guy when it goes on and on and
Yeah,
on, and you've
I don't like
apologized a
that
million
either.
times, like, but why did you say that? Why? And you're like,
But I've been at this point where, let's say me and Carol are disagreeing or in an argument. I'm like so mad. I'm just so mad about it. And the more we're talking, the more we go back and forth the hour, the more I'm still just as mad. And then all of a sudden, like, hours will pass, or I have to go do something and come back. I'm like, well, I'm not feeling that mad. I'm not feeling as mad or as enraged as I was at the time. So that break is probably a good idea.
It's probably a good thing. Yeah. It's like the same idea as when you're rattling off a really emotion-filled or hate-filled email
Yeah.
or text message or
Yes.
whatever, and everybody says, well, just give it 5 minutes, give it 10 minutes before you hit send because you're going to regret it. You will. For
right.
the
Yeah,
most
your
part.
feelings will change, or it's not that big of a
Exactly.
deal.
I think the most effective thing is, I think is more time than that. It's when all of a sudden something's distracting.
Yeah.
Like if you're still thinking about it for the next 10 minutes, then I become more enraged. But if something is distracting happens, like, oh, you have to go here and deal with this, then it's like you lost focus on that. And then you have to bring yourself to start refocusing. That seems where you're not as enraged.
Yeah.
And maybe Jason and all men can do this going forward. You should definitely listen to me. It's like if your wife or girlfriend
Yes.
comes up to you,
Heed his advice.
heed my advice,
Mm.
and they come up to you and say, "Hey, we need to talk." You're like, "Time out,"
Yeah.
and then you don't ever have to talk about it. Time out. Let's cool off real quick. I don't even want to hear what it is. Let's just-
You're right, but we're not going to thank you.
yeah, thank you. 'Cause I think the best thing is to avoid all problems.
Yeah. If you just
They go away.
turn it off.
Like a light switch.
Turn it off. Yeah. If you just turn it
I'm not
off.
the cruel
Hey.
one all the time.
For some reason, I'm not getting that joke.
Turn it
Oh,
off.
it's
It's
from
a
the
song,
Book of Mormon.
Book of Mormon.
It's turn it
Oh,
off.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, turn it up. We have the audio if you ever want to play it, man.
No,
And then finally, a key to having a more successful relationship than most, you use positive statements like, I need to feel closer to you. And I will say that I have a friend who is going through a really tough situation, and she said to our group that if she could give some sort of advice, it would be to always talk to your partner about how you're feeling, even if it's really uncomfortable, because they reached a point where they were not, and there was a resentment, and you can't expect the other person to just know what you're going through or what you're feeling if you don't tell them.
And
It's
then
like-
the other person has to embrace it and not put it down like that's not the truth.
Well, it's yes, because
Or how they feel,
We
yeah.
get so mad when we're like, I can't read your mind.
Right.
That's why, yeah, it's going to be really uncomfortable, and maybe it's going to put you in a bad place for a little bit if you're open and honest. But you got to work. You got to talk about
Yeah,
it.
because it does build resentment.
Yes,
And then also,
and that's not that other person's fault if they don't know.
and maybe not look for the flaws.
Right.
Because you'll
Right.
find it in anybody. I mean, you could go through here and we work in a place where everyone's perfect, but you work, but no one's perfect.
Yeah.
And if you want to find the flaws, you can really tear someone down.
100%.
Like
Yeah.
Matt's probably like the nicest, most calm guy. But if we really want to look, we
Yeah.
can find small things and make a case against him where
Yes.
we can have him fired by Friday.
No doubt.
I mean, you can walk down the
and
hallway here.
there'd be really no reason to do so, but
basis.
you can if you really wanted
Yep,
to.
Yeah.
No basis.
Jason, sorry.
Sometimes the flaws just seem like they smack you in the face all the time.
Well,
doesn't it?
some people,
Some people's flaws are
people's
glaring. Some people have more hidden flaws. In your face flaws
people.
that can obscure otherwise good qualities. And then also, I would say, and I've never felt this way until this point in my life.
Yeah.
If you want a successful relationship, end it after like 2 years.
Jared.
Not being serious. It's
Jared.
like I don't know. I know very few people long term that are truly happy.
You guys,
Katie's one.
He's hurting right
No,
now.
no.
It's just
The statistics are- okay, think about this.
Yeah.
50% of people take the extreme step, to blow up their family. 50%.
yes.
So we know a much higher percent are unhappy.
Okay.
And every study shows that about 10% of people would say they're in a happy marriage long term.
This is what happens.
This is the Leonardo DiCaprio thing. Now I totally get it, except I can't do it because I don't look like him at all.
Yeah.
Is that the honeymoon period's over? Next. Honeymoon period's over? Next.
People do that. But you see, do you see Squid? What happens when you mock his healing journey? This is what he turns into.
I call it Billie for a reason, all right? That's out the bag.
He needs to have positive thoughts right now. And he's in a dark place, but we're going to get him out.
I think if you go by stats.
Don't do that.
Well, I will
Don't
say
do
this.
that.
It has changed a little bit. I mean, from what I'm reading here, there's research estimate that 41% of all first marriages end divorce, which is a lot lower than the 50%. I know it's only by 9, but that's pretty significant.
But fewer people are getting married.
Yeah, of the people who are getting married, who are actually...
Yeah, this is just...
So there's people who will, sorry, Jason, that
Live
will live
together.
together, have kids, and break up. You're like, oh, okay.
Well,
But
they don't count
They don't count that as
statistically.
divorce, but it's basically the exact same
you're not
thing.
taking that radical step of the actual divorce.
Because you didn't get married.
Right.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, because I know people that have they'll be with somebody, live with them for 10 years. They're married, basically.
Yes.
They have kids with the person, but they say, oh, I've never been divorced. Okay, but you had 2 kids with somebody.
But this is of the people that did get married.
Yeah, sure.
So
Right.
it is people that did get married. It seems like the divorce rate has reversed a little bit, although there may be less marriages.
Yes.
And I get what you're saying on that aspect, but I think it's the perception of happiness is how you take a step back sometimes and look at it. I mean, there's definitely times I'm like, screw this, this is ridiculous.
No, not
We
you.
all
But
have
then
those moments.
you take a step back of everything and then realize what you have, and then you honestly, I hate to say this, but the best thing to do is look at somebody else that's going through a really tough time.
You're welcome. And also, okay, it sounds like I'm anti-marriage because for me, I am.
Sounds
No,
like...
because I am at this point.
Yes,
I
you've
mean,
been-
but I get it.
Yes,
but
there's anger and
anyone
bitter.
I've talked to that comes to me and they might have issues with their marriage, or everyone does have issues with their marriage. I always tell them, always do whatever you can to try to work it out.
And at the same time, Jared, not everybody's going to, most people are going to confide or come to you that are friends with you when things are going wrong. They don't usually come to you all the time saying, me and my wife are just getting along so well lately. I want to,
No,
it's
people
not
don't
really
do that.
interesting.
People do not do that. People love company. What is it? Misery loves company. And so when you're feeling a certain way, we love to vent. It's like the same idea as the restaurant reviews.
Yes.
Look at the number of
Yeah.
negative, complaining, venting, tearing people down all over Yelp and the negative reviews. When there's 5,000 of those and then 2 positive reviews.
I think
People
that's true.
don't do
But I think
that.
that's true, though. I think it's true, but I think a lot of people cover up the bad things going on in their relationship.
You can cover
because
it
it's
up.
embarrassing to say,
Sure.
oh, I hate my husband, or I hate my wife, or she drives me crazy. I want to divorce. Most people won't say that.
Won't do
it's
that, but-
easy to say, oh, this lasagna was cold at this restaurant.
Right, but
it's a
do
lot
you
different
ever
than
say,
than
you
being
have-
vulnerable to
It's
somebody.
different, but what my point?
But you're right,
the
though.
point
People are
is,
more likely
if I
to-
came in here every day and I'm like, and Ben is the best. I mean,
You do that.
You guys do that.
No, we're
You
usually
do
like,
that.
wow, Ben hasn't made his golfing again.
I tell a story and you guys do that.
Yeah.
But if all the time,
I know.
I think people also grow suspicious of that. But if you really truly mean it, and
Yeah.
it's great, and we did this and we did that, and if everything's rosy and we're having sexy time all the day, you'd be like, and then nobody wants to hear
It's
it.
boring.
No, it's true.
It's
I
not-
remember when Kelly, and let's be honest, when I was first married, things were going really well, and you guys were like, "Oh God, stop!"
It was excessive.
Well, it was genuine though.
But
at the
you
time,
see
it was
how
genuine.
The
Yeah.
thought is
Not as good,
excessive.
though.
Yeah,
Not
you like
that-
this a lot more.
Well, I don't like I don't like it for you, but I do find
No,
it
I
more
know.
interesting.
Of course, it's more interesting.
And I would say guys maybe sometimes might be like, yeah, I was tearing up last week a lot with the wife. That's probably the extent we go, right? We don't necessarily said, yeah, and then when we went to the kids musical show, we just had a great time sitting together because being happy sometimes isn't always the most exciting thing
Right,
at
right.
any given time.
And
It's the
certainly if
whole picture.
Certainly if somebody's going through a rough time too. Is that
For
you
sure,
don't
you're right.
it's like even in friendships, if
Yeah.
somebody's having a really bad day, you're like, my day's great.
Oh, I do it all the time though as a joke. Like somebody will say something like, "I don't get along with my parents." I'm like, "It makes you feel better. I have a great relationship with my parents." So I think that's a way to lighten the
Right.
mood. And they're like, "Screw you, dude." All right. So anyway, if you want any personal advice about relationships, you can DM me
you,
anytime.
Sure.
Don't-
Email you,
DM
call
me.
you,
Yeah,
call you
I'll
anytime.
tell you what's up.
Mhm. Yeah.
Don't do it, Squid. Don't do it. You're the only free man left.
Squid, do it. But when the time is right.
No, don't.
Right, yeah.
Do not.